If you like storytime vibes, hit subscribe and let's dive in together.
On Friday, I'm going to sleep with my boss. Just once, no emotions, just strategy for our future. That was what my wife told me over dinner, calmly, as if she were discussing office politics. In that instant, my world shattered, and my revenge quietly began. I still remember the night everything began to unravel. Hazel came home with that faint, almost forced smile on her face, but her eyes, they gave her away. I'd been married to her long enough to recognize when she was hiding something. Instead of slipping into sweatpants and joining me at the table like she usually did, she spent nearly 40 minutes in the bathroom, applying makeup, fixing her hair, dressing up like she was going on a date. At first, I wanted to believe it was for me. God knows our marriage had been drifting, and maybe this was her way of lighting a spark again. I clung to that hope like a fool. But over dinner, reality punched harder than I could have imagined. She started with small talk, office gossip, rumors of layoffs, whispers about a leadership position that might open soon. I listened carefully, proud of her ambition. But then her tone shifted. She mentioned John, her boss. Charismatic, powerful, selective in who he mentored. And then Hazel looked straight at me, her eyes cold with determination, and said words that shattered me. On Friday, I'm going to meet John at a hotel, just once. No strings, no emotions. A strategic move. Rational, even selfless. One night, William. For our future. My hand trembled around my glass. I stared at her, searching for shame, hesitation, regret, anything. But she wasn't joking. She spoke like she was presenting a corporate plan. One night of betrayal, packaged as sacrifice. That night, lying in the dark beside her, I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I didn't even touch her. I simply stared at the ceiling, realizing our story had already changed forever. And in the silence, a storm started building inside me. The following days were torture cloaked in routine. Hazel laughed, chatted about meetings, walked around as though nothing had shifted. Meanwhile, I was preparing for war. I bought a discreet microphone, small enough to stitch into her handbag lining. It streamed directly to my phone. When the test worked, I knew I was going to catch her in her own game. The proof came faster than I expected. At 11:28 a.m., 2 days later, I heard Hazel chatting casually with a coworker. Then, the click of her office door. John's smooth voice filled my ears. "Friday night. Still on?" Her voice didn't even shake. "Yes, room 1407, Hotel Monarch. I booked it under my name." Then laughter, then kisses, then his whispered promise. "After this, the promotion is yours." My stomach twisted, my jaw clenched, but my mind? Sharp, focused. She thought she was playing chess. She didn't know I'd already flipped the board. That evening, I dialed a number I had found in Hazel's contacts. Haley, John's wife. Her voice was sharp, suspicious. "Who is this?" "My name's William," I said evenly. "I'm Hazel's husband, and I think you deserve to know who your husband is meeting this Friday." The silence was heavy. Then her voice dropped, steel hard. "Tell me everything." When I finished, she exhaled, controlled but seething. "I'll be there, and I'll make sure they regret it." In that moment, without ever meeting, we became allies. Not victims, not broken spouses. Partners bound by betrayal. Friday night. The stage was set. Hazel walked out of the bedroom in an elegant black dress, perfume trailing behind her. She looked beautiful, tragically so. Her lips curled into a faint smile as she lied through her teeth. "Executive dinner. Big networking opportunity." I smiled back, calm, too calm. "You'll do great, good luck." She mistook my calmness for support, but it wasn't peace. It was the calm before collapse. At home, I pulled up the live feed. I heard everything, Her check-in, the elevator ding, the room door unlocking. Soon, John arrived, his voice thick with satisfaction. Finally, been waiting all week. Their conversation dripped with promises, her new title, his influence, their bright future. Then came laughter, kisses, the rustle of clothes. I sat in silence, my fists tightening, my mind steady, because I wasn't alone in this anymore. 3 loud knocks cracked through the audio feed. Hazel's voice wavered. Who is it? Then Haley's voice roared through the hallway. Open the damn door, John. I know you're in there, and I know who you're with. Silence. Then chaos. The door flung open. Haley stormed inside, phone in hand, recording every detail. John froze. Hazel scrambled for the sheets. Haley's voice was a blade. So this is your promotion, Hazel? Destroying 2 marriages for a title? Pathetic. Hazel stammered, tried to explain, but Haley cut her off. Save it. The CEO will hear this before sunrise. And with that, she left, her phone raised high, their humiliation caught forever. Minutes later, my phone buzzed. A text from Haley. Mission accomplished. That night, while Hazel thought she was securing our future, she didn't realize I had already prepared hers. The divorce papers were ready. Bank accounts split. Locks reprogrammed. When she returned, she found the door wouldn't open. William? The code's not working? From inside, my voice was calm, unshakable. Your bags are in the garage. Divorce papers are under the door. Take them and leave. I listened as her breath quickened, the rustle of paper unfolding. Then her voice, breaking. William, please. I did this for us. I opened the door just enough for her to see my eyes, cold, detached. No. You did it for yourself? Now live with the consequences. Tears streamed down her face as she dragged her bags into the night. But the final twist? John wasn't her refuge. He sat slumped on the hotel bed, pale, his phone pressed to his temple. The CEO had already called. We're done, both of us. Fired. Hazel begged, clung to him. We'll figure it out, John. Together? He barked out a bitter laugh. Together? There is no together. Get out. You've ruined everything. Thrown into the night, she became a ghost of the woman she once was. A friend pitied her enough to give her a couch, but the damage had already spread. The video went viral within her company. Colleagues whispered. Chats exploded. Her career, her reputation, her marriage, gone. Haley filed for divorce the next morning, armed with undeniable proof. John lost his wife, his job, his respect. Hazel lost it all. And me? I walked away. No rage, no chaos, just silence. The next morning, Hazel showed up at my office. She looked different. Not polished, not powerful, broken. William, please, we can fix this, she whispered, her eyes red. I leaned back in my chair, calm. Fix what? You didn't just cheat. You tried to sell our marriage like a bargaining chip. Her lips trembled. It was for us, for security, for our future. I shook my head. Don't insult me. You didn't think about us. You thought about climbing a ladder, John's ladder, and you fell. Her tears spilled, but I felt nothing. Not anger, not sympathy, just emptiness. Sign the papers, Hazel. Move on. For once, she didn't argue. She just left, shoulders slumped like a child who'd been caught stealing. But while Hazel crumbled, I focused on something else, rebuilding. Not just my life, but myself. I started running again. At first, just a few miles around the block, but soon I was hitting 5, then 10. Each step pounded out the bitterness, the betrayal, until sweat replaced sorrow. Friends I hadn't seen in years called me up. Man, you seem lighter, one said. Happier. I was, because the storm had passed, and I was still standing, But fate wasn't done with Hazel. A week later, Haley called me. Her voice was calm, but beneath it, I could hear satisfaction. "You should know," she said. "The CEO didn't just fire John and Hazel. He sent the video to the entire executive board. She's blacklisted. No one will touch her in this industry." I let out a slow breath. It wasn't joy. It wasn't vengeance. It was justice. "Thank you, Haley," I said. "No," she replied firmly. "Thank you. You gave me the proof I needed to finally end my marriage on my terms. I owe you." We didn't speak often after that, but sometimes, in quiet moments, I thought about how betrayal had turned two strangers into unlikely allies. Months passed. I heard things, little whispers carried by mutual friends. Hazel tried to beg her way into another firm, rejected. Tried to reconcile with her parents, who told her to take responsibility for her choices. Tried to rekindle things with John, but he disappeared, leaving her to face the ashes alone. She finally moved out of state, chasing some low-level job that barely paid the bills. From what I was told, she rented a small one-bedroom apartment, kept her head down, and avoided anyone who knew her past. It was strange. Once, she had been the woman I thought I'd build my entire life with. Now, she was just a cautionary tale. One night, while sitting on my porch, a friend asked me, "If she came back, truly sorry, would you take her back?" I didn't even hesitate. No. Because once someone reduces love to a transaction, it's not love anymore. It's business. And business deals can be broken. Time has a way of softening edges. A year later, I met someone new, kind, honest. A woman who valued small things, honesty, laughter, presence. With her, I never felt like a pawn in some game. And one evening, as we sat watching the sunset, she asked, "What's the biggest lesson you've learned in love?" I smiled, slow and steady. That love without respect isn't love at all. And when someone shows you their priorities, believe them. Because betrayal doesn't happen in one night. It's a series of choices. And if you stay blind to those choices, you'll lose yourself. She nodded, squeezed my hand, and for the first time in years, I felt peace. Hazel and John thought they had won. They thought betrayal was just a shortcut to power. But in the end, they destroyed everything they touched. Me? I didn't win because I destroyed them. I won because I walked away, rebuilt, and refused to let their betrayal define me. And that's the real lesson. Revenge is satisfying, yes, but survival, moving on, finding joy again, that's the sweetest justice of all.